Hello, my friend. Hopefully you are doing great. So in this video, I'm going to show you an very interesting technique, and we call it a method training. So what is method training? If you go to Google and search, maybe there is some definition for you, and you can understand in details. But what I'm going to show you is not a zero method training, but we are going to apply it in our page object technique. So let's say in our page object, if you open any text script so far we have now, you can see we call login page, then the dot notation here, and then we access the methods inside, like login page, then dot email text field, and then you do what? Login page dot page password text field, login page, and dot login button again. So I don't want to do that because I just keep repeating login page here, and I want something that's faster. For example, I want something like this one, login page, and then I do something like input email, and then I supply the parameter something inside, and then I call the dot notation again, and then I access input password and the value inside, and then I click on login button, right? So there are two things. You can recognize the difference we already knew so far. The first thing that I just call the login page just one time, and then after that I call a chain of methods here, input email, input password, and click on the login button. Sorry for the for the noises around. Kids playing around, so hopefully you can hear my voice well and please understand in that case. Okay, that's the first thing difference compared to previous previous page object that you already knew, and we call it the method training. So the second thing that you can recognize is a difference that we call something like the methods that is actually interacting with the element, not the element that we found on the page. So that means I want to introduce some methods inside the page object that is I want to actually interact with the element on the screen, not only the element return when you find something on the screen. So there are two things different. So I'm going to show you how to construct a method training. Okay. So let delete this slide. Let me reverse it. Let me revert. Roll back. Okay. And now we will create a new page object, and we call it this login with method training. Okay. And the class is login with method training, or you can simply leave it as login. That should be good enough. And we need to export, in this case, if there is nothing special, you can export an instance that you export default new login with method training here. And you can reuse the credential form here. You see the credential form. But in this case, if you review the credential form, that's another thing. So let's copy from the credential form first, and I will explain for you how to return a method training in case you inherit some other classes. Okay, so just copy email and password field first, and then we copy here and the login button here. So I want to introduce some methods that interact with the element on the screen. So let's say we have something like input email, right? And I expect I will receive a parameter with the email value here. So it should be email, right? And the second method should be input password. And I want to supply a password value here. And the last method should be click on login button, and we don't expect any parameter. So you may still remember a global weight. So in this case, I'm going to declare a method named weight screen display. And in this case, I'm going to wait for the email test field and wait for display, and the timer should be 5 seconds. Yep. About the input email, there are two kinds of things you can do right now. Okay, let's keep it simple first. In this case, I'm going to call something like email text field, right? And then I call set value, and the set value is email here. Done. So instead of introduce a method that return a file element on the screen, I create a method that will interact with the element on the screen. So I can call that find the element on the screen and then call the API, and then we supply the parameter here. So I'm going to do the same thing for the password field. And then set value password. For the click on login button, and then click. So how can we do something like method training here? So if we construct something like that, we cannot do method training. So this is the rule. Let's come back to our screen. Here is the application, and this is the login form. So you see, when you input something in the email field here, you are not going to train to another screen, right? You are still on the login screen. And that will happen the same in case you input something in the password field here, and you still in the login screen here. You are not going anywhere. But after you click on the login button, for example, in a real application, you may go to the dashboard or user profile or something like that. In this case, we will return the destination page. The destination page in this case will be a new instance of another page, right? So let's do this. This is way screen display will actually not going to interact in any element, so we return this. Return this, that means we will return the instance that we are going to create for this class. That means we return in a simple way. you can understand that something like you stay on the page, you stay on the screen, okay? And the same thing happen when you input email, so you return this. And for the password as well, we don't need the semicolon here, and return this. But for the click on login button here, I will return the destination page. So in this case, I'm going to create a sample page. For example, I will create something like dashboard, right? Let's create a new class named dashboard. And this class will be the dashboard. I'm going to export a new instance. Export default new dashboard. And in the login with method training class here, I'm going to import it because I'm going to use it, right? So I need to import it first. So import dashboard from dashboard, okay? So in this case, I'm going to return the destination page after I log in. So you may ask yourself, that, what if the login will fail? So we will talk about that in another session, and I will show you how to handle it in case that the login button is not going to navigate you to another screen. But in this case, for example, let's assume it will navigate you to the dashboard page, and then I can show you the methods training easier, okay? So we return the dashboard, okay? We return the dashboard here. So let's create a dummy method on the dashboard screen. Let's say something like track user name. No, it's not track. Something like get dashboard name. And in this case, I'm going to do something like I just want to print out something like console log, and then I will print out something like dashboard. Okay, here this is dashboard. And when we return the dashboard here, we can access the methods inside here. So return the dashboard, I view console log, and this will not navigate me to any other page. So I'm going to return this as well. Okay. So now let's see. We can create a new test script with the name testk004 login with method training, right? Now we are going to create another test suite in Mocha with the name run page objects, for example, and we insert a test script block here. Should your method training successfully, right? And now I want to view the login page. So let's import logins method training here, and the IDE helped me to do the resting, but I already explained for you how to understand the exporting, the importing path, right? So you can do the same yourself if your IDE like Visual Studio Code doesn't support it, but I think it should support, right? So here I'm going to, because should be something like login page. Let me rename it. So when you rename it, this will not affect to the importing. That means you just the login with method training now in this context you call it a login page, and it's different, it doesn't matter. So let's call login page dot wait screen display, then input email like something like TLE, then input password, something dot dot dot, and then click on login button, and then I can call yes dashboard name. So let's see. Let me enter. You see now, we just call the login page one time, and we can access not only the methods inside the login page object, but we also can access for the destination page, because the click on login button method return a destination page. In this case, we return an instance of the dashboard. So that instance absolutely can access to the methods inside the dashboard class, right? So before running it, just copy something from the old script here, because we need to click on the login form icon first. Login icon home screen, click, right? And we need to run to make sure that everything works well for us. The first thing that you need to start your Appium server. The second thing that you need to compass and track for the test configuration file. And in this case, you track something related to the space file where we declare which test script that we need to run, we need to execute. So in this case, I'm going to copy this one, and I'm going to copy the name of the test script. And to do that, let me do something refresh story name, and I will copy it dot triad here. And let's see, I want to make sure that my device is already connected to my laptop by command idb device. Here, this is my device, and of course, is it connected because I can use the Visor application and reflect the screen from the phone to Visor here. So let's execute the command npm test, and you specify the test configuration file path. In this case, it is test configuration file. Yep. And enter. Let's see. Why the screen is turned black? Let's see. Yeah, it's now trying to relaunch the application. Yeah, trying to relaunch the application, and you can see here. Let's see whether we have something wrong here. Sorry for the noise. Let me run again. Yeah. Let's see whether it can relaunch the application. Yeah. And just click on the login button, input the email, input password, click on login. Yep. Yeah, everything is okay now, right? And you can see here the dashboard from the console log here, you see? So you already knew what is the method training and how we can use it. Let me summarize for you something. So for any method on the screen that interact with an element, and after interacting, that will not navigate you to another screen, you will return this, right? So for the methods that navigates you to another screen, you return to the destination. That means you return to the instance of the next page. In this case, you return the dashboard page, and because the dashboard page, you already exported it at an instance, so you can access the methods inside that instance. So just come back to the test script here and look at it again. So now the methods now in a page object is not introduced something like you find an element like before, like this. Before you find an element and then you return it from a page object, then you call the API from WebdriverIO to interact with the element. But now the page object is now different. The method that you introduce the real method that interact with the element. So in this case, you call input email, and inside the body, you find the element, and then you call the API to interact with the element on your own data, right? So let's try to create something like I have just done, and keep learning, and see you in the next lesson.